Six Flags New England is easily one of the most underrated amusement parks in America. It has one of the best top twos out there, of course Wicked Cyclone and Superman, and it has an amazing atmosphere. Now, the park for years has always needed a solid third ride. Sure, Batman was good, but the park is desperately needed a number 3 that can really help their lineup become elite. For years, enthusiasts have talked about the removal of Goliath, their giant ride that's made by Vekoma and is honestly just not very good. Gives you a lot of different pain in a lot of different areas, and it has a high maintenance cost. So in 2021, when New England removed this ride from the map and announced that they wouldn't open it in 2021, enthusiasts assumed they were going to take it down and replace it with a newer, bigger, and better ride. Today, I'm talking about what ride I think that will be, and what ride I think will replace Goliath and be the next to be installed at Six Flags New England. So with that being said, let's jump right into the rides that I think New England will add to replace Goliath. The most clear hole in Six Flags New England's lineup is a launch coaster of any variety. The park does not have a launch coaster and has desperately needed one for years. So, with Six Flags adding a bunch of premier launch coasters, such as West Coast Racers in their parks, I can easily see them adding one to Six Flags New England, the park that arguably needs it the most. This ride would be an amazing fit for the park. I could also see them doing something just like West Coast Racers. The land that Goliath sits on is not that big, but they can fit a compact dueling launch coaster like West Coast Racers in this area, especially if they remove Flashback alongside it. This ride would not only give them the launch coaster that they need, but also the dueling coaster that they need, and really help this lineup up so much. It would easily be the number 3 in the park, and be much more valuable at a park like New England than it would be at Magic Mountain. I think this park can desperately need this kind of ride, and it would be such a huge help for them, and really draw in so many more people in the future. However, as we know, these coasters are not very cheap, so we have to think that is Six Flags going to add a ride of this cost into a park the size of New England? Sure, they'll add them to Great America, sure they'll add to Six Flags Magic Mountain, but New England is a smaller park. Will Six Flags actually own up and pay that money? That's what we'll have to find out. Another coaster I can see this park adding is an RMC Raptor. In my opinion, a larger scale RMC Raptor like the Jersey Devil coaster is a perfect fit for Six Flags New England. These rides are very cheap. I believe Railblazer and Jersey Devil cost about $10 million each. In addition, they are an elite coaster in the world. It would give them a solid number 3 that people really can't argue with. Now you might say, why would they put in an RMC Raptor right next to an RMC in Wicked Cyclone? And to that I ask you, why would they put in a Boomerang in Goliath right next to another Boomerang in Flashback? So honestly, I don't see Six Flags changing this kind of mentality where they don't really care if 2 rides by the same manufacturer are right next to each other. Another example could be Iron Rattler and Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster. I think that this is a very likely option as it would be pretty cheap, and Six Flags wants to continue to put these rides in their parks. Look at Magic Mountain, Great Adventure, and of course Fiesta Texas. All of these parks have had huge hype around them for adding these rides, so adding some of this to New England will just be a huge benefit for the park. Give them the number 3 that I was talking about they really desperately need, and help out their park so unbelievably much. Another ride I can see the park adding is a Mack Power Splash. Now, honestly, I see this ride becoming the new 4D free spin in the Six Flags chain. Throughout these next 5 to 10 years, I think a lot of parks are going to be getting this in the Six Flags chain. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 to 6 parks get this ride exactly added to their park. Six Flags may have bought the rides in bulk and are going to continue to roll out in their other parks outside of Over Texas in these coming years. New England, I think, would be a great fit for this. Obviously, it wouldn't be as great of a fit as Fiesta Texas, as it is colder in New England than it would be in Texas, obviously. However, the water park is very busy and they do need a good water ride. Blizzard River does get huge lines, just showing how much demand there really is for a water ride. And of course, it would actually include a launch coaster in the park. Maybe it wouldn't be the best launch coaster, but it would be a launch coaster that would fill that hole in their lineup and fill the demand in the park for water rides. I think it's an amazing fit, and a lot of guests would like it and would draw in a ton of people. The last coaster I'm going to be talking about today is an S&S Axis coaster. I think that New England would be very likely to be one of the first parks in the Six Flags chain to get this ride. Now, let's assume that Goliath stands steady but not operating in 2021. I think they'll then take it down to 2022 and be ready for a new ride by 2023. At that time, in my opinion, Six Flags Fiesta Texas would have already opened their Axis coaster, which I predict them to get in 2022, and thus will be experimenting with it, and it will be extremely well received by the public. I think that this would make New England want to invest in an S&S Axis coaster to add it to their park. I think that Six Flags would love to add this sort of ride because it really wouldn't cost that much, and they do like to work with S&S a good amount. Really, it'd be a great fit for the park. They can do so much with it. Sure, it might be a little similar to Joker, but that's okay because it's a new prototype coaster that everyone wants to get on, and it would really make New England a destination Six Flags park. Now, out of these coasters, which do I think are the most likely to be added? In my opinion, it's the first two that I talked about, the RMC Raptor and the Premier Rides launch coaster. The launch coaster would be a little more expensive, but fill the launch coaster hole that they need in their lineup. It would also give them a solid number 3 and be an amazing ride for the park. The Raptor, on the other hand, would be a lot cheaper and would fill a decent amount of holes in their lineup and help out to becoming that number 3 in the park. The ride could definitely use an RMC Raptor to become elite and continue to improve their lineup moving forward. I do see Goliath being removed in the next 2 years and then being replaced by a roller coaster, maybe of the ones that I talked about in this video, in 1 or 2 years after that. But with that being said, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think New England will add next to replace Goliath, as well as if you think Goliath will even be removed. I'll see you guys next time.